You can't go anywhere these days without hearing about GLP-1 drugs. I'm talking about Ozempic, Wegovy, the whole lot. They're totally changing the game for weight management. But what if you didn't need an injection? What if you could get those same kinds of effects from a probiotic? Yeah, you heard that right. It's a huge claim, and it's kicking up a ton of debate. So, let's get into it.
And this is where it all kicks off. A simple question on Reddit. Anyone tried the GLP-1 probiotic by Pendulum? You see this kind of thing all the time, right? People are curious, they're hopeful, and honestly, they're looking for real answers from real people because the official marketing, well, it doesn't always tell the full story.
And boy, do some people have an answer. For some, it's a huge yes. Check this out. One user says after a couple of months, the food chatter in their head just stopped. They said it's completely flipped my system, no sugar cravings, not hungry till noon, eating half the size of a meal I would normally eat. I mean, that's it, right? That's the dream. It sounds like the promise of GLP-1, but in a simple capsule.
But hold on, because on the flip side, you get this. And this is from the person who started the whole conversation. They took the exact same product, followed the same rules, and got the complete opposite result. Instead of feeling full, they felt hungrier. Not just a little peckish, famished. How does that even happen?
Okay, so what is going on here? For one person, it's a game changer. For another, it's not just a waste of money, it makes things worse. How can one little pill be both a miracle and a dud? To really understand this, we've got to push past the stories and dig into the science behind it. This is the puzzle we're going to try to solve.
So you might be thinking this whole idea sounds a bit out there. But it didn't just appear from nowhere. Nope. This whole thing actually started with a pretty surprising discovery in a science lab. It was like a biological treasure hunt.
All right, before we go any further, let's do a super quick refresh on what GLP-1 even is. Think of it as your body's natural I'm full signal. It's a hormone your gut makes after you eat, and its job is to send a message up to your brain that says, hey, you can stop eating now, we've got enough fuel. It's also key for managing blood sugar. It's basically your own personal, built-in appetite manager.
So the science behind this really does read like a detective novel. Researchers started with a big question. Could some of our gut bacteria actually boost this natural GLP-1 signal? To find out, they launched this massive investigation. They took over 1,500 different types of bacteria from healthy people and tested each one. And out of that huge number, they found just 45 that really supercharged GLP-1 release in the lab. And here's the crazy part. When they ran the DNA on those 45 winners, they were all the same species, Staphylococcus epidermidis. From there, they zoomed in even more to find the secret weapon, a tiny little peptide called HLD.
Okay, so you've got this amazing discovery in a lab. It works in a petri dish. That's huge. The next step, of course, is to see if it works in a real living animal. But this is the moment where things often go from simple and clear to, well, a lot more complicated.
And at first, wow, the results from the mouse study looked incredible. They put mice on a high-fat diet, the kind designed to make them gain weight. But the group of mice that got this special S. epidermidis bacteria, they gained way less weight, and they had less body fat than the other mice. I mean, just look at the difference on this chart. This is the kind of result that makes scientists and, let's be honest, investors get really, really excited.
But wait, there's more. It wasn't just about the weight. The mice getting the probiotic actually ate less food, and their fasting insulin levels were lower, which is a great sign for metabolic health. So it looked like a slam dunk. The bacteria was doing exactly what they hoped it would, boosting GLP-1, which in turn was telling the mice, hey, you're full, and helping their bodies process sugar better.
Okay, but here's where the pristine lab results collide with messy reality. People online were quick to point out a few pretty big issues. First off, all these amazing claims, they're based on mice, not people. And because it's sold as a supplement, it doesn't need to go through the years of rigorous human trials that a drug would. Then you have some pretty serious accusations from users about negative reviews being hidden. And maybe the biggest question of all, just because you swallow a probiotic doesn't mean it's going to stick around. Your gut is like a crowded city, and there's no guarantee this new arrival will be able to find a place to live.
And that huge question mark seems to be playing out in what people are actually experiencing. The results are all over the place. I mean, you've got one group of people saying it's life-changing, less hunger, no more food chatter, real weight loss. Then there's the middle group, the ones who get nasty side effects like bloating, gas, or even feeling hungrier. And then you've got this other, more worrying group reporting some really serious stuff, intense headaches, a weird pressure in their temples. One person even said they ended up in the ER after they stopped taking it.
Okay, so to make sense of this chaos, we have to pull the camera back. We need to zoom out from this one single probiotic, because this story is way bigger than that. It's really about the mind-bogglingly complex dance happening between our hormones and the trillions of tiny microbes that call our gut home.
And get this, it's not just this probiotic that's messing with the gut microbiome. Even the big-name FDA-approved GLP-1 drugs do it too. We're talking Ozempic, Wegovy, all of them. A big review of the research shows these drugs have major and, honestly, kind of confusing effects. Like, some drugs seem to boost good bacteria, but another one was shown to increase the bad, pro-inflammatory kind. And semaglutide, that's the stuff in Ozempic, it actually decreased the overall variety of microbes in one study, and that's usually not what you want to see.
So what does all this tell us? It proves that the link between GLP-1 and our gut bacteria is absolutely real. It's not just a theory, but it is incredibly complicated. It's not a simple one-way street where A causes B. It's more like a super busy, multi-lane highway with traffic going in all directions, and scientists are still trying to draw the map.
All right, let's land this plane. We've seen the exciting lab science, we've heard the messy real-world stories, and we've looked at the bigger picture of the gut. So, what's the final verdict on these GLP-1 probiotics? Are we talking hype, hope, or just a whole lot of headaches?
Here's how it breaks down. The promise is built on some really cool but very early science. A specific bacteria that can trigger a GLP-1 response in a lab and help mice on a high-fat diet. The reality is we've seen from real people is that your mileage may vary. A lot. For every person who hits the jackpot, it seems there's someone else who gets nothing, or worse, gets unwanted side effects.
And if you want one single number that explains why this is so unpredictable, just think back to that original study. The scientists had to sift through more than 1,500 different strains of bacteria just to find one that did the trick in the lab. The idea that this one single special ops bacteria can just be dropped into the complex, unique, and competitive war zone of your gut and do the exact same thing every time? Well, scientifically, that's a pretty giant leap of faith.
So, where does that leave us? I think the big takeaway is that the future of weight management is almost certainly hidden somewhere in our gut. The connection is too strong to ignore. But we're just at the beginning of this journey. This whole probiotic puzzle proves that we haven't cracked the code just yet, and the road from a cool lab discovery to a product that works for everyone, well, it's a lot longer and more complicated than we might hope.